Lecture title: Peter Thiel, Contrarian Thinking Power and the Future of Innovation. Introduction. Today's lecture examines one of the most unconventional and influential figures in modern technology and finance, Peter Thiel. Thiel is not simply a billionaire investor or Silicon Valley insider. He represents a distinct intellectual archetype, someone who blends philosophy, venture capital, political theory, and even theology into a unified worldview. To understand him properly, we need to move beyond headlines and look at the structure of his thinking. Part 1. Origins and Intellectual Formation. Peter Thiel was born in Germany in 1967 and raised across multiple countries, including the United States and Southern Africa. This early exposure to different political and cultural systems appears to have shaped a lifelong skepticism toward consensus thinking. At Stanford University, he studied philosophy and law. During this time, he co-founded the Stanford Review, a publication known for challenging dominant campus ideologies. Even at this early stage, a pattern emerges. Thiel positions himself not within systems, but against them. A major intellectual influence on Thiel was philosopher René Girard, whose theory of mimetic desire argues that humans imitate each other's wants, leading to competition and conflict. This idea becomes central to Thiel's later thinking about markets, culture, and power. Part 2. The Contrarian Framework. At the core of Thiel's philosophy is a single guiding question. What important truth do very few people agree with you on? This question is not rhetorical, it is operational. It drives how he invests, how he analyzes society, and how he makes decisions. Secrets versus conventions. Thiel divides knowledge into two categories: conventions, widely accepted beliefs with little competitive value; secrets, hidden or ignored truths that create opportunity. His strategy is to identify secrets before they become obvious. Monopoly over competition. Contrary to traditional economic thinking, Thiel argues that competition is not desirable. He believes truly successful companies avoid competition entirely by creating monopolies, dominant positions in new markets. Power law thinking. In venture capital, Thiel operates under the assumption that a small number of investments generate the vast majority of returns. This leads him to make fewer, high-conviction bets rather than diversify broadly. Founder-centric investing. Thiel prioritizes exceptional individuals over teams or institutions. He looks for founders who are highly independent, resistant to social pressure, capable of executing unconventional visions. Timing and context. Finally, Thiel places enormous emphasis on timing. He often notes that many failed ideas were simply too early. His question is always, why now? Part 3. Career and strategic influence. Thiel's career reflects the consistent application of this framework. He co-founded PayPal, which redefined online payments. He was an early investor in Facebook, recognizing its potential before it became obvious. He later co-founded Palantir, a company focused on data analysis for governments and institutions. Unlike many of his peers, Thiel does not primarily operate as a builder. Instead, he functions as a strategist, placing early bets on systems that may reshape entire industries. Part 4. Comparison with Silicon Valley figures. To better understand Thiel, it is useful to compare him with his contemporaries. Thiel versus Elon Musk. Musk is a builder and operator. He runs companies, manages teams, and executes large-scale engineering projects. Thiel, by contrast, is a strategist. He influences outcomes indirectly through capital and ideas rather than direct control. Thiel versus Marc Andreessen. Andreessen is broadly optimistic about technology's ability to improve society. Thiel is more cautious. He believes progress is fragile and may already be slowing or stagnating. Thiel versus Jeff Bezos. Bezos focuses on systems, efficiency, and incremental improvement. Thiel prefers discontinuity, moments where entirely new systems replace old ones. Thiel versus Mark Zuckerberg. Zuckerberg executes and scales ideas. Thiel identifies them early. Their relationship illustrates the difference between recognizing opportunity and operationalizing it. Part 5. Philosophy, Religion, and Society. Thiel's worldview extends beyond business, technology, and stagnation. He argues that technological progress has slowed in key areas such as energy and infrastructure. While software has advanced rapidly, he believes broader innovation has stalled. Libertarianism and governance. Thiel identifies as a libertarian but expresses skepticism about democracy's ability to sustain long-term progress. He worries that mass decision-making may prioritize short-term stability over innovation. Religion and the Antichrist concept. Thiel's engagement with Christianity is unconventional. Influenced by René Girard, he interprets religious narratives through the lens of social and political systems. In recent lectures, he has discussed the Antichrist not as a literal figure, but as a metaphor for a global system of control, one that enforces stability at the cost of freedom and innovation. This framing merges theology with geopolitical and technological concerns, making his worldview both distinctive and controversial. Part 6. Personal Choices and Lifestyle. Thiel's personal decisions reflect his philosophical commitments. He maintains a high level of privacy and operates largely behind the scenes. He has invested in life extension research and long-term scientific initiatives. Through the Thiel Fellowship, he encourages young people to bypass traditional education paths. He has secured international mobility, including citizenship outside the United States. These choices suggest a focus on independence, flexibility, and long-term positioning. Part 7. Criticism and Debate. Thiel's ideas generate strong reactions. Supporters view him as a rare, independent thinker, a visionary investor, someone willing to challenge intellectual conformity. Critics argue that his contrarianism can become self-reinforcing. His views may justify concentrated power. His apocalyptic framing introduces bias into analysis. His actions sometimes contradict his stated principles. These critiques highlight the tension between his theoretical framework and its real-world application. Part 8. Psychological Assessment. From a behavioral and intellectual standpoint, several traits stand out. Strategic contrarianism. Thiel consistently defines himself in opposition to consensus. This is not occasional, it is central to his identity. Systems thinking. He operates at a high level of abstraction, connecting economics, culture, technology, and religion into unified frameworks. Preference for control. He tends to avoid visibility while maintaining influence, suggesting a preference for controlled environments over public exposure. Existential framing. He often interprets issues in terms of large-scale risks, civilizational collapse, stagnation, or systemic control. Internal tension. There is a persistent tension between his libertarian ideals and his involvement with powerful institutions and centralized systems. Conclusion. Peter Thiel occupies a unique position in modern intellectual and economic life. He is not simply an investor, nor purely a philosopher, but a hybrid figure who uses capital, ideas, and influence to shape the future indirectly. Compared to his peers, he is less visible than Elon Musk, less optimistic than Marc Andreessen, less operational than Jeff Bezos, more theoretical than Mark Zuckerberg. His defining characteristic is not wealth or power alone, but his ability to identify and act on non-obvious truths before they become widely accepted.
Whether one views him as visionary or controversial, his impact on technology, finance, and political thought is undeniable.